Hello, this is your lesson for today with your podcast hosts Bruja, Drool, and Cyborg.
Hello, everyone. This is your lesson for today. Okay.
Um,
Um, fair warning, if you don't want to listen to people laugh or joke around, this might not be the podcast for you. But if you don't mind and you would like to listen to some interesting topics and new points of views, then stick around.
oh yeah. So our topic for today is COVID feels and dating during the pandemic.
Yeah, dating during a pandemic, it's definitely been difficult for, I think, the entirety of the world. Um, from the mainstream dating things that I've read, a lot of people are having children, especially in countries where they were quarantined a lot faster. People are moving across the country, across the globe, and getting into more committed relationships, which I think will be very interesting once the pandemic is over and this idea of scarcity is out of our minds. What do you think?
Oh, first of all, I didn't know all that about people moving to like whole ass other countries, but
Yeah. I mean, my friend the model, she like moved to Italy with she says she's
your
not really
boo.
moving, but like she wants to move there and like he has his house and they waited a few months before Italy like actually opened up and she's been there since the 1st of December and we're coming into February, so I don't know, she's probably not coming back and that's okay.
Damn, good for her.
Yeah, but they met right when Italy shut down, so
She
it
was kind of stuck there.
yeah, she was stuck there.
Oof.
And now she'll probably be, I don't think stuck, but she definitely she lucked out. The COVID pandemic worked in her favor romantically speaking.
Yeah, good for her. Um, I wonder what that's like quarantining, experiencing a pandemic in a whole other country with a new boo. What a
Yeah.
life.
I mean, from my understanding, it was very interesting and difficult, but I think that I think that this ties back to the reason or what I was talking about, people like having children and people like looking for more committed relationships, is that you kind of don't have time to like date around because
Hmm.
obviously you could get sick and potentially die. I know it's not funny. It's not funny. COVID is not funny, but you know, it makes
Just
me nervous to think about because I am a single person.
yeah,
um, but
same.
yeah, but I think it makes you have more difficult conversations a lot easier because it's like, hey, like, what are we doing, right? Like, we don't know how long this is gonna last. So,
Hmm.
but then it also makes me think a lot about like what I used to read about the boomers and like people that came from an era where there was a long period of war and then like the weird like sexual revolution where people were just like kind of open to rebellion, but then it's like Vietnam started. So there's just a lot of like dynamic movement in general in the world, and I guess people act, I think you have two different kinds of people. You have people that act in rebellion and kind of discover a different part of themselves.
Hmm.
And then you also have a group of people that see like the conservative, or rather like standard way of living as a way out from like their personal misery that they, or despair that they might be feeling right now, because literally nobody is in control. Like no one, it doesn't matter if you have money, like. And I think that that's the most interesting thing to look at, is that even like really rich people are losing their minds because they can't go out and like eat or party or anything. Like no one cares about them. And so they're definitely getting like a different taste of like what it's like to just live without access to things.
To be oppressed, may I?
Yeah.
Like,
But I mean, like, is it oppression? Like,
no.
they view it as that, but it's
Yeah.
more like restrain, right? Like
Hmm.
res- what restraints are to all of us is oppression to them, which is really funny.
Uh, so goofy.
Yeah, I mean,
Yeah.
I guess having certain amount of privileges makes you act goofy, and it's like it doesn't matter. I think all of us act goofy in a certain way, but that kind of level of goofy is just definitely memeable.
Oh yeah. I mean, and it is. Some good memes out there.
Like, yeah, don't you think I would also like to be rubbing, having some like old weirdos sweat rubbing on my body while I'm at a rave? Don't you think I also want that? I don't give a fuck. Like that's, that's my life.
Yeah.
I love going to raves just to listen to the music, or like going somewhere. Like everybody misses that. You're not special.
Yeah. True.
So, okay, we talked about the straights. How about the queers?
Oh man.
I feel like everybody in like the queer community has been able to deal with it a lot better, mostly because you have long distance dating as like a standard. Like, when you talk to your queer friends, like if someone's like, "Oh, where's your girlfriend?" or like your partner or your boyfriend, like they're like, "Oh yeah, they like live in Massachusetts and are like are studying or whatever, and we'll see each other like once every 2 months." Like even
Hmm.
pre-COVID, people lived this way. So I don't think it was very difficult to adapt.
Yeah. I mean, even, yeah, like long distance relationships are usually, or from what I've experienced, they're usually like non-monogamous.
Hmm.
So they're also like experiencing other people in like um different capacities and stuff. Um yeah, and then I feel like even, yeah, like you said, we've adapted in the way that like, people have like online play parties now, and like
Yep.
people I personally don't necessarily recommend this, but I know like a couple people that kind of have had like smaller like gatherings, and they'll like get a cabin with like 8 people or something, and then they'll
Hmm.
have like little like play parties, or like just like intimate like, gatherings and stuff, which I think is, it's cute. I personally wouldn't do it, but like, yeah, it's cute. And like, yeah, we've definitely adapted to dating in the pandemic. And it also kind of like brings up this like, um
The morality or ethical aspect of that.
yeah, and just like, consent culture, or just like, I don't want to say, I guess like, quote unquote status like culture of just like, what's your status, like, STI wise, like it's kind of like similar to that, where people, you know what
Yeah.
I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Like, yeah, it's like, well, did you get tested? Like, do you want to wait? Like, do you want to, self quarantine for 2 weeks, and then we can like go on a date or whatever? Like,
Yeah. I think that I think that also believing in harm reduction in general,
Mhm.
and like being a big advocate for that, even pre-Rona, like when it comes to substance use or the way people want to live their lives. That's kind of how I approached COVID. Like, of course, we like you want to push for people to stay home if they don't need to. And this is like, I'm talking about like going out to a bar versus meeting someone new that, and it's you guys like at someone's place, like at
Mhm.
the person's place, right? Totally different from, okay, I could potentially expose this person who like might work at home and like both of us are going to be sick, but we both live alone and like are gonna stay home. Like that's totally different from, oh, we're gonna go out and like can be out and about, like on the train. Okay, cool. That's like a portion of people. We're gonna be like standing around for a while and then we're gonna go to a restaurant. Like that's three different areas you're spending a really big amount of time at where like any kind of exposure could happen. And so like I think personally, even from the beginning, I didn't see anything wrong with people wanting to like meet up in that sense,
Mhm.
because it's like you also have to think about it. It's like people are meeting up from the like even before Rona, like meeting up with a like stranger out of nowhere at like 2 in the morning or like whenever, like most people like in the straight world, like they see that as like scary, but it's like I don't know. There's I think a deeper level of understanding and consent and like safety just in general, like safety and precautions that go into like living a queer life. Literally, it's just kind of
True.
engraved in the culture. And even if you're like new to it, you catch on pretty quickly because if you're like hooking up with someone like I don't even like 5 years your senior, they will ask you certain questions and it's gonna like shock you at first, but then you kind of adapt to it. And I feel like everyone's have has had an experience in that way.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, I'm like, ooh, like I still remember the first time someone asked me like, "Is this okay?" And I was like you me? I was like, "Wait,
Whoa,
what?"
like life transforming, which
Yeah,
is
I was
I think it's like we live in the US, we have that kind of culture. So it's like, I think when it comes to consent, it's almost like taboo. Somehow, I guess in mainstream culture, it's been seen as unattractive and definitely marketed as
yeah,
unattractive. And I think that this like really feeds into the general problem of like not only does it bleed into like your sex life or whatever, but it also bleeds into all of your relationships where everybody just assumes that anybody that like gets along with them automatically can read their brains. Like that's so fucked up. Like when
yeah,
you actually look at that, and it's like it took me a long time in therapy to like actually break that down where I'm like, no, like I'm pretty open and I'm like very transparent and I like to be like, very communicative, but my therapist is like that's great and both people can be that way, but that doesn't mean you know what's going on in that person's head. And I guess
yep,
she phrased it in a better way, but that just like really shifted my thought process. And I'm like, totally. Like, because I have been in misunderstandings with people where people misunderstand me, and I don't like being in the endings and like the receiving end of that. It's so
yeah,
embarrassing. Well, not even embarrassing. It's just like there is some sort of shame attached to that, and I think that the
yeah,
shame is a big part of the problem. You know, because it's like I think that shame conversation goes back to like the first one where it's like people are less likely to get tested or less likely to like be
true.
honest
Hmm.
if there's a level of shame attached to it.
Yep,
And which is why I'm like I think that that's like one of the bigger I think that that's one of the biggest driving forces with like um, the very repressed and like puritanical views of sexuality here that we're all taught. And whether you want to think that you're influenced by it or not, whether you emigrated here at some point, like all our media and like the way that we view the news and everything and people around us and the way that they socialize, like it definitely bleeds into all of that and those
Yep.
interactions. Yeah. I don't know if you've had this experience with like how there's kind of, you know how we talk a lot about like New York lingo or like LA lingo or like Western lingo, right? Like
Yeah.
I know that this is going to be like, it's going to sound funny, but it's like to me the biggest three cities in like the US are like LA, Chicago, and like NYC, like Manhattan, right?
Yeah.
And it's like those are like the trendsetters for like their area.
Yes, sir.
And even like NOLA and like Austin, they have their own culture too, right? But
Yeah.
it's like I feel like most people visit those places for really, really specific things versus like if you come to Chicago, you can do like a million things that are totally random and not like location specific, you know?
Yeah.
So it's interesting to view how even across the board there is still that aspect of shame that drives people's behavior. And I only say this, I guess, from my perspective because I see it within myself. And like,
Hmm.
I think that if there is something that I want to dismantle in the like in my life is shame because it's like
Yeah.
I guess at this point the way that I live my life is pretty shameful. Like people would be ashamed for me, but I don't care. It's
You're
funny.
like, I'm a sinner. I don't care.
I mean, as that one meme said, if you are not sinning, like did Jesus die just in vain?
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, that's definitely a big thing. Shame within the queer culture.
Yeah. And I mean like look, there's I think that that can also be hot and it can be incorporated into scenes and
True.
stuff, but it's like I feel like just like you separate your like very violent nature that you might exhibit and obviously consensually in like your sex life, you don't want to let that shame that you fetishize like bleed into your real life and
Yeah.
stop you from like going towards goals that actually bring you true happiness and or content or fulfillment in some way. I
Hmm.
think that one of my favorite things that I read when I was a kid was just like reading testimonials from like I guess like the articles that would come out on like Yahoo Mail or whatever. That's how old I am.
Yeah, I'm like, throwback.
Throwback of like older people talking about like what they or like nurses and stuff or like staff that work at hospice talking about like what they hear people that are on their deathbed talk about, and literally every person has some aspect of I wish that I had not cared about what others thought, and it's like there's a reason why that's literally the OG resentment that everybody has towards humanity or like humanity quote unquote, right, or their life is that they wish that they had done something different. So it's like kind of having that at the front of your brain when you are motivated to do something, but then a part of you feels shame or like feels like the shame monster coming on. I don't know if you've seen Big Mouth, the show
Oh
on
my god,
Netflix,
yes.
the shame guy. Yeah, aren't you ashamed of that? Literally, that bitch coming in and being like, oh, come on, you know that it's so bad. And it's like not even hot, it's just like pathetic.
You're like, stop.
Yeah, you're just like, get away from here. But it's like, I think, especially someone that's like always thought about death, like, I think about that a lot. And I'm just like, yeah, I don't want to be like in my deathbed and be like, oh my God, I wish I had like gone to that orgy or something. Like, no, that's not going to be me. It's
um,
interesting. But yeah, I
yeah.
think the takeaway for like COVID dating is like be really straightforward with not only like whomever you're hoping to like meet up with, but also like with yourself. And If you live alone, I think that that's more on your conscience. Like, are you going to be going out for groceries, or, always being prepared and ready for anything the same way that you would if you're sexually active? Like, I think that maybe just because, um, you know, the AIDS epidemic really hit hard in the gay community, I guess queer people are safer. Like, it's literally a lot of straight people just like not knowing how to be safe, you know? That shit happens, but it's like just it's not anything new
Yeah,
to us. So I think that there's just like
true.
more precautions and more like more understandings of like harm reduction and like um I'm not sure if you like how like there's people that are like sane, safe and consensual or something like
Yeah,
that,
yeah,
and
yeah,
then people that are like harm or like risk aware. How there's like two communities of like in BDSM, like there's definitely two different groups. I don't know
yeah,
which one you identify with, but I don't really like safe, sane, and consensual. Like, obviously I believe in those things. I think that that's
yeah,
I think that that's just a given though. Like, duh, right? If I'm choosing to engage with you, like that these are things that are already like we both believe in them, but it's like I think that especially with the things that I'm into, it's like you have to be risk aware. You have to understand that some of the things that you do can cause harm and you never know like what your body's
hmm.
going to happen. And I'm talking specifically about like rope stuff.
Yeah, I know choking is also like
Mhm.
one of those things, which, yes, there is two different ways to to choke someone, and
Mhm.
I
Yeah.
feel like the blood one is probably safer, quote unquote.
Yeah.
But
Depends
anyway, that's
depending on who you talk to, because talk to a medical professional or like a
fair.
neuroscientist and yeah, I'm depriving my brain from oxygen is like that's not a selling point. It's like everything has like there's it's pain, right? Like everybody's aware of what they're doing. You
Yeah,
have to be like very, very much accountable for what you're asking for, because it's like
yeah,
at the end of the day, especially if two people have like come to an agreement, it's it's gonna happen and you have to like be okay with the decision you're taking and be okay with giving that consent, you know, which I think
yeah,
is something that I've come to learn where I'm like, I don't ever want to, and I don't with people like engage in any way with someone that like seems like they're on the fence of about something. Like, I think it's cool to encourage people to like explore, but I think that it's a lot better and a lot more fun and a better experience for everyone when both people are excited,
yeah,
you
of
know?
course.
Yeah. And yeah, I think that's cool. But yeah, I guess like safe, sane, and consensual are like to me when people are like, yeah, like that's what I'm into. And I'm like, what the fuck do you mean you're into consent? The fuck? It's like
Yeah.
safe and also like safety? No, like that's obvious. Sane, okay, ableist, like who is sane?
Okay,
Like
yeah, I was gonna say that.
medically, like what? Like what do you mean? Are you a doctor? Like first of all, are you like a psychiatrist?
Are you gonna
So
give
like
me
this is
drugs?
yeah, no, no, no. Are we like are you gonna like test my sanity? And if you are and then you're trying to fuck me, like actually that's like goes against like your Hippocrat or what is it, Hippocratical oath? Like the oath that doctors take and like literally
Oh
every
my
rule
god.
in the US. Yeah,
Oh,
maybe this is why I'm annoying because I'm like, no, no, no. Let's break it down. Like, what do you mean by that?
oh my god.
No. But I think that risk aware is like pretty I think it's pretty straightforward because
Yeah.
it signifies or like it just really states, yeah, I know what I'm getting into and like I want that. So I'm here, you know.
I'm like, yes, I do want that.
Yeah. And I think that that's great as it should be, right?
Yeah. I'm like, so, Miss Rona, please hurry up so we can get risk aware in this bitch.
Sure.
Uh, yeah, well, I guess that brings up the other question of just like, what are your like predictions for
Ooh, given
after the pandemic?
okay, so given the stuff that I've seen on lesbian and queer Insta and Twitter in places that are pretty safe and are like open for like parties and like clubs like in Australia and stuff.
Oof.
No, I I would watch those stories and I would forget those people were in Australia and I would freak out and I would like instantly judge them because there was no masks in sight.
Oh
But then
God.
I'm like, I look at it and I'm like, oh no, no, no. They're like in a country that actually like took like preventative care and like shut down, did not give a fuck. Like no one was coming in or out.
They were like, hell no, we don't want them
Yeah.
Americans.
Yeah, they're like, we don't want those dirty Americans. Like, I mean, come on.
It's
Like, if
true.
I was like some other country, I would probably think the same. It doesn't matter like how
I
you look.
mean,
It's like our ideology is dirty. Like that's what I mean. Like in
yeah.
general, the whole like American exceptionalism, you could be whatever identity and still like be indoctrinated in that, and that makes you
Yeah.
dirty.
Yeah. I'm like, my best friend has told me multiple times, like, whenever they go to Mexico, it's just like, people are like, oh, you're American? And my friend is just like, unfortunately. And people are just like, ugh.
Yeah. No, I mean like
So,
I'm so glad that I have like also Mexican citizenship and like I have a Mexican passport. So when I do move to Europe, I'm not gonna say I'm American. I'm
you're
gonna
like,
make sure to be like, like no. And I'm not entering there with like an American passport or anything. Like I'm going I'm be like, this is yes, please stamp, por favor. Gracias.
you're like, ¿Americano? ¿Yo?
No,
No.
no,
No,
sí.
no, 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 no.
No, no, no. Yo fui a estudiar ahí nomás.
¿Por qué? Yo no sé.
Be like, yeah, something like that. But yeah, it's nice. But I think I understood that. Like I feel like I watched a few movies that were like in French, like when I was taking French in high school. And whenever any like American topic came across, like French people would always mock them. And I'm like, oh, okay, I definitely see like a lot of Europeans like viewpoints on like Americans. Like obviously everybody wants to come over here and like take advantage of like the exploitative like financial situation. So like
Hmm.
they're all gonna come over here and like study and like make money and like finance and like technology or whatever, but they're gonna go back and like judge.
They were like, girl, that was dumb.
Yeah, it's interesting.
Worst, worst thing ever.
The one thing that I did find very cool about this is that um a lot of like uh I guess like accessibility and like disability awareness activists were kind of like hyped up more, which I think has is I think it's pathetic that it took this to
Yeah.
get people to understand that not everybody can go out and party, or like it really takes a lot of planning for someone that might be like, not able bodied. And I did see that a lot in the beginning in like the posts and stuff, but I think at this point it might, I hope so. I hope that it becomes something that people just feel an instinct to add on to. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
to be like, hey, like, okay, cool. Like, um, we have a show on this. It's going to be like $5 at the door, but there's also going to be a live stream for like $2 or like donation based. Like,
Yo,
I think
yeah,
that
that
would be great.
actually, yeah, I'm like, that's really smart, actually.
And like, I don't
I
understand.
didn't think about that.
I also don't understand like if especially on my fucking nerd friends that own a lot of like the spaces here. I'm just like, you never thought about doing this? Like, you never thought that there's like your friends that like might work a shitty night job, but like can listen to music that they would love to listen to the live stream of something which you are 100% capable of streaming from your fucking dirty ass basement because you have high like you'll have like no furniture but you will have fucking like speed fast internet like I've
You
been
know
I've been
what?
I've been in that noise scene for long enough, almost a decade to know that that's possible.
Dude, yeah, at Bricktown, y'all have the equipment to do this, so step up your game, dog.
I also just think it's cool. Like I I think that the internet is awesome because we get to share information, but I think that most able-bodied or like disability like invisible disability disabled people forget that there's literally that disability that isn't centered around them. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
people that might, suffer from mood disorders or anything like I do and stuff. You tend to forget that there's people that also are in a similar struggle than you, but face different challenges.
Yeah.
And that they would also fucking want to listen to this weird ass noise artist from like Ohio that like only tours once a year, but like they're the noise space is like the basement covered in dirt, like in the middle of nowhere. And like there's it's like they can't get in there.
Yeah.
Like I think everybody should I think that a lot of the times when artists are like, I don't know if I'm reaching people, and I'm like have you actually thought about your modem of communication and like the way that you spread your feed or something? I don't know. I just think that I don't think anything is impossible. Maybe that's
No,
that
yeah.
maybe that's my viewpoint. That's the only takeaway before I get canceled for saying something that someone doesn't like. But it's like I don't think anything is impossible. I just think it requires strategic and curiosity to
Yeah.
really find, to really find your community because your community could look like whatever, but if you're really not, if you think that you're reaching out to everyone, you probably aren't. You're like,
Yeah.
it's for everyone or whatever. It's like, what's your definition of everyone?
Yeah. And that's why I thought like the concept of like these online like play parties or like just like um I've like streamed a couple like queer short films, like
Hmm.
you know how they usually have like get-togethers for like premieres for stuff like that or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah, like I've seen a couple like short films that way like during like Zoom calls or whatever.
Hmm.
Um but yeah, that's what I thought was so like yeah, like fascinating. I was like, dude, this is cool. Like we still get to like experience like queer culture and like this like sense of like closeness with the other queers. So it's like yeah, not it's not like impossible to like you know do stuff like this once the pandemic is over because yeah, it's like more inclusive for like yeah, like disabled people or just people just like introverts even like
Yeah. I
it's just
honest,
like yeah.
I would honestly really appreciate it, or I did appreciate it when maybe I didn't physically want to go to a show like on a Wednesday night, but it was like a really cool set because the next morning I had a meeting. And like what I mean by that is like, going to a place and then your drive back home and all that and getting ready for bed. Like if you're already ready for bed and you're like watching a set for like an hour, you just go to bed right away, right?
Yeah.
So it's like even in that way, I always really appreciated all the people that would live stream that shit because it's cool. So like why what's I think that at this point, especially like working in tech, I'm like, I think it's shameful for people that also worked in tech and that like ran a lot of these spaces not doing that. Because like if you go into a tech meeting, even if it's like a really big one, you have people coming in from everywhere and it could be like 100 people on like a call, but you have a system where it's like anybody can ask a question or anybody can like just dial in and like creep on the meeting, you know? I'm serious. I've accidentally creeped on like a few meetings before.
We're like, oh no.
No, yeah, I'd be there and I'd be like listening and then I look at my like calendar and I'm like, "Oh shit, I'm an hour early." And I like would log off, but just be like, "Oh my God, like that's not I shouldn't have been there." But it's I don't know. I think it's like most people I think you know how people are like, "Oh, you're doing the most." I feel like that
Mhm.
can be expressed in that way of like you're doing the most but in like a very useless way. You know, like you're doing it for presentation instead of it actually having like utility.
Yeah.
And it's like I don't know. Facebook Live has been a thing for like what, 5 years now?
Oh, I actually don't have a Facebook, so I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah. It's been a long time since that
Yeah. Okay.
has existed and I've seen some like ugly ass live feeds of things that I didn't really want to see. Like someone's kid's like birthday cake, whatever, which is fine, I guess, but it's like you could totally and if you're like old like aunt that like doesn't even know how to use an iPhone but knows how to use Facebook for some reason
We all have that one Thea.
that went the or that one fucking sibling or like relative, my bad. Like the one
Yeah.
relative who like doesn't know how to send an email but like 100% knows how to message all their fucking friends on Facebook, knows how to like
Facebook or what's WhatsApp.
WhatsApp. Yeah, they can get it. They
Yeah.
can. My favorite part about the internet is motherfuckers can find their long lost like childhood friend on WhatsApp
Yo, yes.
and they
Yeah.
can and they can somehow find you even if you're under like a different name or like you go by a different name and like some different like tag and they can find you but somehow they don't know where their settings are like it, just
They're
it
like, can you put the YouTube for me? You're like, yes. What do
yeah
you want to listen to?
I don't even think that that's like mean. I just think it's like whenever I make comments like that, what I'm saying is human like intuitiveness and intelligent is it's so powerful, but I think a lot of people don't understand that not
Hmm.
everybody fucking wants to sit there and like trial and error, right? But like unfortunately that's literally our future. So either you invest time now or you don't and like you're fucked. And but then I get on the phone and I'm like, "Hello, hi, how can I help you?" I'm like, "I'm not a fucking afraid, not a millennial that's afraid to get on the phone. The fuck?" I'm like, "No,
Oh
you
my god.
adapt and you like learn." Yeah, maybe at first it was a little bit scary, but then I'm like, I hear some of these conversations on the train and I'm like, I'm gonna channel that energy into this call right now. Where
Oh my
someone's like
god.
talking about their like, I don't know, we've been on the CTA trains forever.
No, yeah, I'm like,
They'll be
I've
having some
heard some.
embarrassing conversations.
Dude, oh, I don't know if you want to cut this out, but I think it's fucking hilarious. The other day I was at Dollar General.
No, this stays in. This is too funny. Okay,
The other
Chicago
day,
stories.
I'm like, I was at Dollar General, and there was this this like Puerto Rican ass lady on the phone talking about, man, I ain't never letting my daughter go back to my mom's house. My mom let that little bitch go smoke weed and get drunk with her stupid ass little friends, and she was like mad as hell, just in the middle of Dollar General. Like just haketeando over here on the fucking phone. She was like, "No, man, you know what? I'm gonna hang up because I'm real heated right now. Like I can't do it." And I was like, "Damn,
Sweating over here.
bitch."
You're like,
Yeah, it
oh,
was like shit. I felt like she was mad at me for a second. I was like,
You
damn.
identified too hard. You felt that anger like just spread out to the store, and anybody that's ever
Dude,
smoked weed
yeah.
was just like, "Oh shit, that's like my mom."
Dude, yeah. Ugh, I was a little triggered, but no.
No,
It's like,
yeah.
Ma. It's like, I'm
It's like
sorry.
shit.
Yeah, so Chicago feels Chicago little things.
Okay, so
Uh,
I do have permission to tell these stories because my best friend loves to be obnoxious, but like I see my best friend regularly. Maddie, shout out at Maddie, wonderful clarinetist. But she works at Barnes and Nobles, but she lives like on the like northwest side. So like
okay,
it's like a nice neighborhood or whatever, but it's like really like in Chicago the like transit system is so shitty past like a certain point. If
true.
you're past like California on the blue line, it's buses. Like that's all you have. The only like transportation is buses because no other train goes that way aside from the blue line and or like the purple but and yellow line, but that just like goes north. It doesn't go more
Yeah,
west,
yep,
which is shitty. Like I think that everybody that lives on the west side either has a car or just like deals with it because it's like
it's
nice-ish
true.
neighborhoods and but also like yeah, like they're just like I'll just like suck it up, like whatever, I'll take a bus. But and I lived in Logan Square for a long time. And I know and like I lived right by like Milwaukee and California, so like it was still like nice-ish
Yep.
and I had
Yeah.
access to a lot of things, but it was still a struggle to get there from Pilsen. Like you have to go through the whole loop
Yeah.
to get on the pink line and or you sit on a Damon bus for like 40
Oh,
minutes.
yeah.
Okay, but my friend was telling me the story about how she was on the 82 bus.
Yes. Shout out to the 82.
The 82, it was like a morning in the week. It was a weekday morning and she heard this like woman yell out some slurs at this gay man
Oh,
and then like proceeded to throw coffee on the poor man and out
no.
of nowhere and like just it's like she was just having a hard time that day and the man was like being really nice by not reacting to this woman's like direct attacks. But then
Yeah.
this and I don't know how another girl was sitting next to this woman with but this woman pulls something out of her pocket and the girl next to her yells, "She's got a knife!" And everybody like scatters. Now, for people listening to this that are not from big cities, like I'm sorry, but this is really funny because if you haven't been to a big city, like you really don't know how dangerous it just okay, no, it's serious topic. It's just,
Okay.
you know,
It's just sometimes you just gotta like take shit with a grain of salt though. You know what I'm saying? Because then you just get like, I don't know. I'm just like, it's just part of living in a city. I feel like it's
yeah.
scary.
The difference between living in a city and I guess a little bit less commuted place is that in a city you literally get all sorts of people.
And we're gonna start with a little check-in about the the subjects that we kind of touched on today. Um, yeah. Do you want to start? Should I start? You want to start? Me? Okay. Um, I don't know, bro. I'm like obviously like itching to go outside. I miss outside.
Yeah, even if it's like
Uh,
below degrees, it's you still want to be out.
Yeah, I'm like, I
That's never
still want to
stopped me
be,
before.
literally, I'm like, I want to be running outside in my little boots and my little jacket, being like, ah, and whatever.
Wait,
um,
you're itching to leave the owl at 4 in the morning with a rando, still drunk as
oh,
fuck, taking either both your bikes or an Uber back to your place just
bitch.
to pass out on your bed without like anything happening and waking up and being like, oh,
I'm like, where am I?
yeah,
Oh, God. Yeah, I miss that. I miss being a hoe. I miss just, yeah. As an, it's surprising as an introvert, will say.
it's surprising how much you want to be out and like socializing as an introvert.
Yeah, I'm just like, what is this feeling? But yeah, I'm excited overall. Obviously a little like anxious about it because, um you never know what could happen. You always want to hope for the best, but shit happens. But um am excited to see how or if there will be like consent culture shift um with the queer community, but I mean obviously also like the straight community. Ugh,
Yeah,
that sounds weird. That
I
feels weird
think
to say.
I think it I already see it with like the queer community because I have definitely
Yeah.
seen like a lot of people posting things being like, hey, like if you're interested in this, like these are the prerequisites to like I guess apply or whatever.
Yeah.
But like definitely with the straights, especially like being on Tinder or something, like dudes with the people that I hook up with and stuff, or like would hook up with, they don't leave their house as it is, even before
Mm-hmm.
the pandemic. So I'm not really like afraid, but also like they like don't even care to ask you. They're like, have you been exposed to like any of this? It's just like some people are literally so starved for any kind of contact, even affection. I know it's funny,
It's
but it's
true.
true that they're risking getting the Rona. Like, what the fuck? It's so
Yeah.
sad. It's so sad. I'm thirsty for affection, but like, I'm still gonna fucking screen you and wait like 2 weeks. The fuck?
Dude, for real. I'm
Mm-mm.
like, there was that one time I was, I was, oh, I should say I was not planning the threesome, but I was part of planning the threesome.
Yeah, you were.
And, huh?
No, I said you were part of the details.
Yeah, I was part of the details for sure. And, yeah, I was like, y'all need to fucking quarantine the masses before. And they were like, we both work, so that's not possible. And I'm like,
Okay, this is not possible.
it's not, and it never happened, and I'm kind of glad that it did not happen.
I think
So
if
anyway,
I think if everybody's an essential worker, then it's like a raffle of like, okay, cool, like we're doing this right, regardless we're exposed
which shout out to them essential workers.
for
Thank
real.
you
The
for
fuck?
everything. Thank you for feeding my lazy ass.
No, just like literally for risking their lives. It's fucking
That too.
bullshit that people have to fucking do this and aren't paid twice or triple what they should be.
Yep.
Dude, getting that
Hazard
is
pay.
crazy. Hazard pay, yeah, hazard pay should be 2 times. It's bullshit.
Yep.
And it's not like the company can't afford it because that's what they're making, regardless. That's what fucking Grubhub and like DoorDash and Uber Eats is charging you. They've upped all their
True.
prices. Like even restaurants have. Like restaurants, I think most restaurants are part of one of these like part of Grubhub or whatever, these like external services that like provide marketing, and they have had to raise like between 150 to $2 or $3 for like everything that they provide. just
Oh.
so that they can like make up. Like even here in Pilsen, I see like with like Benny's Pizza, like a slice would be like 150, like
Mhm.
175, and now it's like 2 or 3 or 4 dollars.
No.
Oh yeah, and then the other
No.
night I drove my sister and my friend to Bocce's.
Mm.
Remember Bocce's was like $5 for like a big ass slice?
Yeah. Oh.
You know how much it costs now?
Oh. Don't
Almost
tell me.
$8. It was like
Oh.
7.50 or 7.75. And
That's so rude.
we drove there. And it was like their leftover like 2 in the morning. Like
I've been like, bitch, you need to give me a discount on this old ass pizza. The fuck? $8?
for this
Excuse
oldest
me?
slice of pizza, and they burnt it to my friend. My friend, when she
Oh.
got her pizza and we ate home, like we drove back to her house. she um she opened up her pizza and like it was like burnt because they reheat it right in the oven, which
Yeah.
is nice. You know, they're not microwaving that shit. But she was like, "God damn it!" She's like, "They burnt my pizza."
You said, oh no.
This shit's so sad. It sucks. Yeah, it really, really fucking sucks.
Oh, wait, you need to do your check-in too.
Oh, my chicken. Wait. Okay, so what do you mean by that? Real quick.
Um, how are you, how are you feeling about, dating after COVID, like
Oh, so
all that good
as
stuff?
everybody's been annoyed and I've been talking too much about my ex, obviously I had someone that I dated like right at the beginning of COVID, but um it's I think it's difficult because I like to talk to a lot of different people at once. But I don't think, as an introvert and as someone that before COVID lived a very busy life, it's like just juggling like Aikido, like my martial art and like my music and my 9 to 5. It was already pretty difficult and I didn't date. Like I didn't date before COVID. So maybe that says something about me that the joke that I throw around is it literally took a pandemic to me for me to like get a partner. So I don't know what the fuck that says about me. But dating's been a little bit easier for me during this time, which I think says a lot about my internalized capitalism, I guess.
Damn.
Yeah, and I think
And self roast.
I think that's all I have to say about that is that I and I don't even know even now that I'm more open to questioning why I do things. If somehow everybody got the vaccine or somehow everybody became immune to COVID, I don't even know if a lot of these lessons truly stuck with me, and I think that I probably would go back to that workaholic, like 24/7 hustling, like, and not even making money, but like, on the side, but like just really overworking myself just because that's something I enjoy. But it is a way to distract myself from like building actual relationships. And I did use it. And I do use it as an excuse not to do that.
Damn. Do you have any Capricorn in your chart?
Yeah, I
Okay.
do. I do have some. My chart is mostly the only air sign I have, or the two air signs I have are my rising and my Venus. So my rising is Aquarius and my Venus is in Gemini. But everything else is Aries, Capricorn, and yeah, no, it's just Aries, Capricorn, Taurus, and Aquarius and Gemini. So it's like very,
Oof.
it's very like first few months of the year centered, which makes me like intense and gross, but also like lovely. It does. Capricorns are I have a few Capricorn friends and they're just intense and like that's why we get along because we're hustlers.
Yeah, I'm a Cap rising, so. What's up?
Yeah, you get it. You're like, excuse, called it right out. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh wait, do you want to talk about your chart real quick before we sign out?
What are we
Give us
doing? Big three?
yeah, big
Or
three. Yeah, big three.
um uh Scorpio Sun, Cap Rising, Pisces Moon, RIP.
Rip the Pisces moon. That's what
That's
it was the Pisces moon for me.
it's the worst. I I was talking to my grandpa earlier about one of my rats being sick,
Hmm.
and I was like talking to him, almost crying about it, and he was just like, why do you care if an animal dies?" And I was like, I'm gonna cry about everything, okay?
What's
He
his
didn't think it
moon?
was funny. I don't know.
I
I
want to
don't
see your
know.
I want to see your grandpa's chart. That's so dark. What's another
Wait,
like
sorry. I'm like, let me rephrase that. His actual, like, what he said was, you can save those tears for me when I die. And I was like,
oh,
bro, I'm gonna cry for you.
what are
I'm gonna
esos
cry.
esos did he say it in
Es,
Spanish?
yeah,
Like
esas
what are this?
lágrimas para mí. And I was like,
Damn, sounds that's some Leo shit though.
yeah, I was like, bro, I got tears for everybody. Like, don't you worry, bro.
You're like, I'll cry extra hard for you. I got you.
I did. I was like, yeah, I'm gonna cry no matter what. He was just like, he didn't think it was funny. But anyway, what is your charge?
I think most people or whoever's listening has gotten that I'm pretty chaotic. Um, don't worry, I'm pretty stable. As all my medication is always taken on time. um, but I'm an Aries sun, a um a Taurus moon, so I guess I am pretty grounded with my feelings. Once I stick my head to something, it's really hard to make me not feel that way, I guess. And I'm a Venus Gemini, so I'm extra messy with love, uh, or romance or whatever. Which, yeah. Oh, and I'm an Aquarius rising, so people think I'm weird, and they think that I
You
think that I'm.
are,
Yeah, I am pretty weird.
but in the
I
best ways.
I like that. I will probably like. I will. I will be like, pardon my cavity search, as I just met you like 5 minutes ago.
Amazing.
Yeah. No, but yeah, I think it's funny. It's really funny. I hope some people are annoyed by what I say, just the way that I am annoyed when I listen to some people that I'm because I love podcasts in general. But there are some times when I listen to some people and I'm like, God damn, I hope someone else is thinking God damn at me, because that would be a high honor, and still continue to listen.
That's what we hope to achieve here at your lesson for today. That's just what we hope you take away from this.
Yeah. Shout out to all the new to be fans. I hope you look out for your next lesson.
Oh yeah. Well, with that, we are gonna sign off.